Hello everyone, Krydax here, and welcome back to RP-1. Our space race continues. I guess we're not really racing anybody or against the clock, but we've impacted the moon, we've orbited the moon, and now we need to land on the moon. So, in our last episode, we were working on designing a moon lander. I've come quite a long way since then. I figured, let's work on some of the design off-screen, because I don't know. I still haven't figured out exactly the right format for this, but I think 4 hours straight or 6 hours straight even of just designing one craft is a little bit much. So here's what we've come up with. I prettified it a little bit, gave it a nice little launch platform looking thing, and honestly, I'm kind of impressed. So it went through quite a few iterations. One thing I want to note is that I was using... At the end of the last video, I was using the RDO 109. That's not an option. It has liquid oxygen, so boil off is a problem. So as soon as you get into, even before you get into space, the liquid oxygen starts boiling out of these tanks, and you're losing, delta V because of it, because you don't have the right ratios anymore. And we don't have the insulation yet. I think if we did, we could probably make liquid oxygen work all the way to the moon, for the slowing down burn. But we don't get that until this node is done. So we get the MLI wrapping one layer. It says with MLI locks at the moon. Again, sorry if me saying locks makes you cringe inside, but it's just so much easier to say than liquid oxygen or even LOX. But locks at the moon can be practical. So I'm not really sure what it means by practical. Do we lose 10% by the time we get to the moon? Do we lose 30%? I don't really know. We can always test that out once this research is done. But I did want a better engine for my moon mission. So we are going to have to wait till the 1962 orbital rocketry research is done. So I ended up going with, let me go ahead and open my fairings here. I ended up going with the Agena, but I went to the next one. We had been using the BA5? Or no, we were using the BA7. But if you look at the reliability, it's only 95%. And if we're going to start it twice, then the ignition chance is, another 10% hit to our overall mission success. And it turns out that the BA11 is way more reliable. And it even has a little bit higher ISP to boot, and it doesn't require ullage, which is just kind of nice. Not really necessary because I could have provided ullage, but yeah, I decided to go with this kind of little disc design to basically suicide burn before we get near the surface. And rather than orbiting the moon and then deorbiting, I'm just gonna have an impact trajectory. So straight from the Earth, I'll be on an impact with the moon, and then we will just suicide burn whatever's left in this tank, which should be about 2200-ish delta V, maybe a little more. And then the last 225 delta V in this tiny little tank right here with these thrusters should be enough to land the whole thing. So I have tested it once and successfully landed on the moon. There's a little bit of a problem with landing on a slope. I had one time I tested it where I was trying to land on a 20-degree slope, and it just wasn't going to happen with these 3 legs. If I had 4 legs that extended out a bit more, it might be possible. Someone in the Discord was mentioning potentially using structural legs instead of could just put I-beams on it. No, those are way too heavy. So I'm not really sure, is that a reasonable option? If I were to go polygon, 3 sides, diameter, and use these as landing legs, they are lighter. That feels like cheating almost. I wonder how much tolerance they have to impact. Because these are super light. In fact, I would need to make them heavier. They would need to be, because they have a minimum of 1 kilogram anyway. So I'd need to make them 1 kilogram a piece. But that would save me so much delta V. Because these are 10 kilograms a pop. But that feels like cheating. I don't know. That makes me feel dirty inside. I don't know if I like this idea, but it's certainly possible, you know, to do that. Oh man. Yeah. I mean, obviously in this case the fairing is too small, but I don't know. For now we'll stick with the normal landing gear. I have to Control Z until it comes back. And it's so bothersome that Control Z always closes fairings that are open. So if you're trying to change something in an open fairing, you can't actually watch it change. There we go. Okay, so anyway, let's kind of walk through one step at a time what we've got here. We've got controllable mass, deep space, avionics 2.6 tons, which you'll notice is the weight of everything on the Aegina stage. Then we've got some solar panels. I made them one step bigger. They're 0.8 now instead of 0.7, because when I was on the moon, I was finding that power was pretty low because it's having to transmit a lot, and I just figured one more step will help it get the data off the moon a little faster. We've got our Communotron, which we've already worked with. 34 dBm UHF tech level 2 is enough to get from the moon to one of the medium power stations, the DSSs. If we plug in 500 million, we should still have a connection. And the moon goes between 350 and 400 million, so that's accounting for even some extra losses, such as the atmosphere, maybe a weird angle or something. So that, excuse me. So that's all good to go. We've got 4777 delta V in the Aegina stage, which I might increase slightly. My margins when I tested were pretty low, and we'll do one more test together. So anyway, we can't have liquid oxygen, so that's why we're using the Aegina instead of the Russian RDO-109. And then for this stage, which is the one that finalizes our orbit, we are using the RD-119, our beloved engine with insane 362 ISP, which is awesome. And this engine also starts our lunar injection burn. So the lunar injection burn starts with the rest of the fuel that's in this stage. So we've got the full 271 seconds on that engine, which is already overburning by 5 seconds, but that's okay. And remember, when I say 5 seconds, I'm adding on the free 5 seconds that you get. So really the rated burn time is 260, but it won't start increasing its chance of failure until 265. So given how large the numbers already are, 5 extra seconds shouldn't be a big deal, and the reliability is already quite high. So I'm not worried about that one. Here we've got our second stage, which I tried a couple things, and it ended up being, again, the old Russian engines are just so dang efficient. Because the best alternative to this, this is what, the RD-0107. The 0108 isn't even better. I wonder if it's just more reliable. Yeah, it's a little more reliable, but other than that. Anyway, so the 0107, kind of the main competitor I was thinking about for the other secondary stage was the LR91. And with the LR91, we had... Why was it worse? I can't remember. I mean, the ISP is worse, it weighs more, and it provides only about 20% more thrust. So I think that was the reason I ended up not using it, is because just its benefits don't outweigh the downsides. Yeah, I think that's why I decided against it. Because 590 kilograms versus 411 is a pretty huge weight difference. And so this one is also maxed out, 250 seconds, 248 seconds. So that's about all that we can wring out of this engine. And then finally at the bottom, we've got our classic LR87 dual setup. And then I've got two Algol 1Bs as initial boosters to get us some initial speed off the launch pad. Because I tried with just the LR87s and a bigger fuel tank here, and like before, it actually ended up being more efficient to have 20 tons less of fuel in the LR87 tank and strap on the boosters. Because you just lose so much less to gravity losses. So anyway, that is the design. Let's go ahead and test it and see if we can actually get this puppy into orbit. And what I might do, let's see, 14,775 is still on the low end for total delta V. Did I mess up the staging somewhere? Check yo staging. Hot stage that, then decouple, and then we pop the fairings, and then we hot stage that, and then decouple, and then activate those RCS thrusters, which, are they even needed? They might be, because this, I wonder if this engine is turned off, do the little RCS things work still? I don't know. But that needs ullage, so we probably should leave these modular RCSs on. And yeah, then we've got the HTP for those modular RCSs just in a very thin tank sandwiched between our avionics and this isogrid tank. And then the avionics can do 110, there's no antenna in it, and that's good. Wait, how are we achieving control of this craft? We have no antenna before this thing is extended. But I guess MechJeb can fly the thing anyway. That's funny. I'm okay with that. And yeah, and then these fins needed to be medium-sized for this stage to maintain attitude control. You'll notice I only have 2, and that's because it's tilting over to the east, and it needs to prevent a yawing, or I guess, according to the rocket, it needs to prevent a pitching moment. And having fins over here doesn't actually change anything for that. So really, I just need fins on this side. So I'll save myself 26 kilograms there. These are actual like movable rudder fins. And then I didn't need any fins on the first stage at all, so I took them off, and that's it. That's the Moonlander. We'll come up with a name for it, but first let's simulate it. I think I'm gonna make this fuel tank slightly bigger. 15 delta V if I do. That's not a lot of delta V, because it lowers, you know, everything down the chain. Because it's like 200 more delta V in the actual Agena stage, but it probably subtracts quite a lot, yeah, from the RD-119 stage. I'm okay with that. Let's try that. And then fairing, is it? It is running into that little communotron. So we need to go cylinder end a little bit higher. Okay, we're gonna save that and then simulate. We're not gonna start in orbit around the moon. And let's watch this puppy fly. So yeah, the whole landing part, we're probably gonna quick save and quick load a few times. It may require a few tries. We'll see. So a couple, that's not what I wanted. Whoops. A couple things to note math-wise is that our ejection Let me pull up the notes here. Ship notes. Oh yeah, we should probably make notes for this one. Anyway, couple notes for this launch is that 3150 is the TLI Delta V, and then we should need about 2540 moon suicide burn DV. But that's just basically a full stop, but then we're gonna need a few more Delta V to actually come to a soft landing. And the better we time our suicide burn, the less extra Delta V we need on top of this, but this is kind of like the minimum. Now that's assuming I think I hit the moon at its periapsis. If we hit the moon at its apoapsis, it's a little bit better, I think. But anyway, those are just the numbers that we gotta keep an eye out for. So what did I do? Oh yeah, I think I unchecked. I think I did the same thing I did last time. I unchecked circular, and then I went to Earth thinking that I had unchecked start in orbit. I've literally done the exact same thing twice. A little bit of deja vu there, glitch in the matrix. Okay, so couple things here. You guys already know this, but we need to launch to longitude of ascending node of, it was 2.3, right? We wrote it down somewhere. Oh, the scroll doesn't reset on each note. Yeah, 2.29. Oh, so 2.3, that's right. And 28.36. Okay, so those are the correct settings. 145 by 145. Last stage is going to be stage 2 here, the RD-119 stage. At least, well, I guess I slightly changed it. Look at that jittering. That is so bad. I think it has to do with Kerbal joint reinforcement. There's some sort of bug with that. Anywho, the pitch rate, that's what I had set last time. I'm going to leave it for now. We do drop the solids just a smidge early, 0.02 seconds. And then hot staging is 2.2 seconds because that is the spool up time for the RD-107. I could reduce that hot staging to 1.6 when we get to the RD-119. And I think that's pretty much it. I should be able to hit launch to LAN here. So we're gonna let it time warp me here. It's not time warp. Why is it not time warping me? I have auto warp set. Do I need a launch countdown? No. This has normally worked before. What am I forgetting here? I don't know what I'm forgetting. Is there... Oh, I didn't engage autopilot. That's what I'm forgetting. There we go. That'll do it. That'll do it. And then this is where it's like 50-50 if the Kerbal joint reinforcement bug is going to mean that our rocket just explodes on the launch pad. Because that's happened quite a few times to me by now. And it's quite annoying. But maybe it'll work. See, like, what is this? What is this nonsense? And it's always because of time warp, and then like the physics easing in progress, and then something gets jacked up with the launch clamps. It definitely is buggy, and I don't know. Someone on the Discord said try reverting to a previous version of KJR, Kerbal Joint Reinforcement, so I might try that at some point. For now, I've had enough luck just trying a couple times. So we'll just try again. But yeah, it is a little funky. I don't totally know why it does that. I guess that's how bugs work. Generally, people don't know why why they're there. They weren't planned to be there. Let's see if this works better. Nope. Did I? This could be a me problem. Hold on. I might be blaming Kerbal Joint Reinforcement when it's not. Now, KJR is buggy. I've had multiple rockets just explode on the launch pad. But it's possible that I might have screwed up by assuming, well, see, I connected it to this, and I was assuming that, oh, I think I see what I did. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I was thinking, because I was having problems with the launch rail causing explosions because of time warping to the longitude of ascending node. So I turned that off by not using a launch rail. So I was like, instead of using a launch rail, we'll actually attach it to the pad, which also has a launch clamp kind of stage. But then I attached the rail to the rocket, and that's the problem, because then the rail was attached to the rocket. So what I need to do is attach the launch rail to just the pad and just make it look good. And then we should be good to go here. Because the problem is the rocket was actually attached to the rail, which was not disconnecting its clamp. So that hopefully will fix the problem. Okay, save that this time for sure, he says. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I should probably just revert the Kerbal Joint Reinforcement mod, because you guys, look at this. What is going on here? It's now, it could be, I think I saw someone talking about the settings in here. We might need to turn off attach vessel to ground. So let's go back to the VAB. We need to go to the main Space Center screen to change our difficulty settings. Let's try changing that and see if that fixes it. I apologize. I thought I had changed this already, but I think I changed it when I was in a simulation, and then when you revert the simulation, it loads the quick save, which then undoes your settings. But certain things don't get reset when you load, so I feel like I don't fully understand what gets reset and what doesn't. But we're gonna turn off attach vessel to ground, and that might help us. We'll see. All right, let's try again. See if it at least looks correct from the start. Okay, so far so good. And one more time, engage autopilot, launch to longitude of ascending node, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, the RDO-107 here had similar problems to the RDO-105 and ODO-109 OD-0109? RD-0109, which was its verniers are just really weak. And so, okay, that looked a little sus, but we might be okay. Hey, clean launch. Beautiful. Beautiful. Alright, and then we also need to set our hyperwarp down in case we want to do that. Beautiful morning to launch to the moon. Also, when we were testing in the last episode, I didn't have these interstage fairings on, and that's a surprising amount of drag. Even just these two interstage fairings, just for kicks, I deleted them and tested it, and we were getting up to almost 5 meters a second. Per second. Atmospheric drag. Whereas now it maxes out at like 3. So don't skimp on your interstage fairings. Alright, clean brake with the boosters. And then we pitch over to our final angle. It's saying we've still got 530 meters a second to spare, which is good. Here we go for our next stage. Let's see if we can prevent tipping over. Oh, it doesn't look like we're gonna make it. Oh, it's so close. Are we gonna make it? We barely made it. I might make those fins slightly bigger just to guarantee that we can successfully stay on target. That was really close to tipping over. Because once it starts tipping over, it just keeps going. You know, the bigger the angle gets, the bigger the moment gets, and it just... It's literally a point of no return, you know, it looks like it's close, but like if it ever crosses that point of no return, it's completely gone at that point. Okay, so now we just have a solid 206 seconds of burn time. So we'll just let that run out. Run the clock on that. And then... Yeah, I mean, this is pretty simple, just get to orbit situation. Solar panels go up. And here we are, about to stage the next one. Boom. And now we've got the beautiful RD-119 with its infinite delta V. And that should get us the rest of the way to orbit. Oh, turn on RCS. Don't forget about that. I usually do. I don't know, and again, I want to be really clear, because I feel like sometimes I'm not clear about this. This is a me problem. I don't understand. But what I don't know is how to get MechJeb to turn on RCS. I don't know what triggered... Sometimes MechJeb will automatically turn on RCS with a certain stage, and sometimes it doesn't, and I haven't yet figured out what the rules are on that. Because in this case, I want it to turn on RCS when it stages this engine because we need to. And so I actually included the RCS thrusters up here in that stage in the hopes that it would activate RCS automatically, but it still doesn't. So I don't know what determines that. If you know, let me know in the comments. Okay, so we got 60 seconds, 50, 40, 30, 20, and 10 seconds to orbit. It should be a pretty accurate orbit, as we're guided the whole way. And it even uses RCS to get the last little bit here. And there we go. So now we're in orbit. We have 5802 delta V, and I said we needed like 5700. So this is a really tight margin, and I don't know if I'm comfortable with the margins being this tight. I'm not sure how to fix it, because we can't really get a lot more delta V out of any of our stages. But let's just see if we can make it to the moon on this budget. Let me quick save, test, and then we'll get a moon encounter here with a, look at that descending node of 0.0, relative inclination 0.006. All right, and then the moon is over there, so our maneuver node needs to be about here. I'm just gonna type in 3150 to start. And that's at least gonna be ballpark. We'll move the time till, yeah, there we go. Okay, so the first thing you want to play with is get the time correct. So the best launch time. Oh, look at that. We might even be able to go down a little bit on delta V. Okay, so it looks like launching in about 4 minutes is about perfect. Regarding the actual encounter, what we'd love is to hit the moon like on its close side. Yeah, we need to make sure we hit it on the close side, because if we don't, we wouldn't have satellite connection with the Earth. So this should all be about right. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the man plan and execute next node, and it's gonna go ahead and point towards maneuver node, time warp me. Now, I don't know if the man plan uses, this is something that I'll have to test with a different craft, because I don't know yet if it uses the TWR of the next stage or only the TWR of the current stage to figure out the burn time. In this case, they're about the same, which is helpful, but sometimes you have a really high TWR for 1000 delta V and then a really low TWR, and I don't know if the man plan accounts for the next stage. The reason I say that is because I have to manually stage here. Watch what happens when this burns out. Nothing will happen. So I have to manually stage right here. Uh-oh, insufficient avionics. I'll need to fix that. It's gonna fix itself pretty quick here. There we go. Now we're back to full control. So maybe that's not a problem. We're unguided for about 5 seconds. I guess that's okay. And then, yeah, the man maneuver planner here should get us the rest of the way to a moon encounter. Or so I hope. All right. Yeah, I mean, just let it burn the rest of the way out. It might be slightly off from what we planned, just because it's a 1 minute burn rather than 10-second one. And there we go. Looks like we got a moon encounter. And an impact even. And the impact is perfect. Maybe. The impact will be here, but the moon will be in a different spot. So relative to the Earth, like the Earth will be like up here-ish. So that's actually really good. That's a really good spot. Okay, quick save again. Test 2. Oop. And then we said for our stopping at the moon cost, we needed about 2530. So this is gonna be really tight. I'm thinking we're gonna need a few more delta V just overall for the launch vehicle, which is hard because I think that just means we're gonna have to go to like 120 tons instead of 110 tons. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and... Why do I have no control? I guess we're just not in a good spot. If I warp a little bit, yeah, there's some control. I want to just turn so that we are getting some sunlight. And then I'll kill rotation with the Smart S. Off. Okay. So still have our moon impact, and now we should have full power if we time warp. Go ahead and get to our moon encounter here. And our suicide burn is only going to be 26 seconds basically. So we really gotta time it just right. Impact time is in 17 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and save here because if we end up landing in a really bad spot, this is where I would want to use RCS to like just change my speed by like 1 meter a second over to the side, and then we'll land in a completely different spot on the moon. So if we end up having a bad landing spot, we'll just change our trajectory. It's too hard to tell. You know, if we could see better, like if I could zoom down to the surface and see exactly what the slope will be there, that'd be great, but I can't do that. So I don't know exactly where that'll be. And I don't even know if it's like perfectly accurate anyway. So now we're gonna use landing guidance. See, and this is a completely different, like, what does that mean? Landing predictions. What is world trajectory versus show trajectory? These are lots of things I just don't understand. Like, what's the difference here? Is that because the moon is gonna rotate by the time I get there, so it's like accounting for that? You know, and why is that one kind of this sinusoidal curve and the other one is just a straight orbit line? I don't know. I guess we'll find out which one's... I think the moon is going to rotate a little bit. So I think this is probably the more accurate thing. And then it's like... maybe that's the actual path I'm going on relative to the Earth, maybe? And this is the path relative to the moon? That could be it. That's my guess. I have no idea, though. But yeah, as I time warp, we can see, yeah, that's just, the moon is moving underneath this, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So I'll wait till we have like 1 hour left, and then we'll focus a bit better. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna want to do surface velocity negative. And I mean, yeah, we're just gonna do a suicide burn at the last second. And hopefully it works. Go ahead and toggle our landing gear. I don't fully understand all these different settings. I think we want spring rating to be maximum and we want the dampening to be pretty hardcore. I can also play with lock suspension on or off if we end up in a bad situation. Okay, so let's go ahead and save. Quick save test 4. I think we're on 4. Oop. Quick save test 4. And then now we're just gonna time warp all the way to like, whoop, just a couple minutes here. Let's get to 1 minute and then we'll stop. We do have control, which is great. So 26 seconds. There is a suicide burn number in the landing info. Yeah. It's not perfectly accurate though, so I'm gonna wait till that gets to 0, and then I'm gonna like count 2 more seconds. And we'll try that. And I'm just gonna hit the Z key, that's all we're doing. 18, 17, 16, 18. I might have been a little too late, we'll see. The difference between too early and too late is very close. Oop, I think we were too late. 3, 2, 1. Yep, too late. Kaboom! And we have added many more craters. Load save. Test for... Many more craters added to the moon on this simulation. Okay. So this time we'll go to... Oh, gosh, that's so... click-through blocker. I don't know... This is another one of those things where I don't get it. I swear I've changed click-through blocker about 100 times to be follows click, but I think it keeps changing back to follows mouse. So when my mouse is over this window, I can't change my time warp. I can't hit the Z key to throttle up. Just if the mouse is moused over it. And like that is not how I actually want it to work. But it doesn't seem like I can actually get this. See, that even shows as focus follows mouse click. So why I don't get it. I'm not understanding something. Because something's funky. So where's my toolbar button? Because here it says mouse, not click. So why it like, do you guys see what I'm saying? Like the setting in the menu is literally on click, follows click, but here it's on mouse. And it still doesn't change. Even if I change this to click, you can actually see, look at the RCS and the SAS here. They go gray when I mouse over any of these mechjeb windows. So I don't know if it's a mechjeb thing, but it's messed me up a bunch of times, and I would prefer to not have it work that way, but it might be necessary because of all these buttons. So it might be that mechjeb requires click-through blocker to like block all other inputs when you're moused over a mechjeb window. But it's just something you have to be aware of, so just be careful not to have your mouse over a mechjeb window if you're trying to control your craft. Because it can really goof you up. So anyway, let's try again. I don't actually want that button there either. Let's try again. This time, not time warping too quickly. And we'll watch our suicide burn countdown. Or maybe we'll just look at time to impact. So this time I'll do time to impact 16 seconds. Is when I hit the Z key. And we'll see if that gets a good spot. Yeah, I feel like I want about 50 more delta V for this mission. Just to have a little bit of a better margin. Okay, 16 seconds was... Whoa! Technically not too slow. Hey, what are the odds we survive? What do you think? 0%? No, I think we got a decent chance of survival here. We still got 2 landing legs. We have no engines. Hey! We slowed down even more though this time. The landing legs took the brunt of the impact for us. This time we have... Hey, I think we're gonna make it. Look at that. Safe and sound. All my solar panels are broken, I assume. Yes. If they weren't, we would have been fine, actually. That's hilarious. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so we'll try 17 seconds. I know we're really close. So 17 seconds, time to impact. Okay, 33, 27. All right, so when that hits 17, I will hit the Z key. 18, 17. That should be good. And I think we got there this time. Much better. In fact, yeah, that might have been too aggressive, because we're 2,700 meters above the surface. So now we have a lot more time to build up speed that we don't want. Well, let's just try land somewhere. I also was having issues with the land somewhere one time where it was time warping, and then it was time warping too much to the point where it didn't have enough time to suicide burn. It looks like it might have done it again. No, it did it correct. I apologize if that's really loud. I guess it's not too bad, but it's annoying. But hey, there you go. We had a nice flat slope. So that's how it's supposed to look. There is a safe and sound moon landing with 92 Delta V to spare. That's not a lot. That's really not a lot. But we made it. I guess I didn't take the moon landing contract, but that is a moon landing. Okay, so yeah, if I want the springs to be tougher, we do want the spring ratio up. I don't know if anti-roll does anything. But yeah. Woo! Moon landing! So, all the experiments are running, we have data connection, we have solar panel power, so everything should work after some number of months. I don't think there's anything else to do. We gotta go back to the Space Center, because you lose the revert to VAB button once you load a quick save, but then it does properly go back to the right time. Sweet! So, what changes do we want to make? Because we're already going to need to modify or make a new launch complex for this thing. Because it's already 110 tons. So the question is, do I make it a little heavier to get myself some more Delta V, just to have a bit more wiggle room? So we got 14,865. I mean, are there any changes I can make? Oh, here's a change I can make. The utilization on this is not 95%. 14,8. Okay, I need to pay close attention to this. 3,222. 14,865. But that stage is 3,222. Okay, so if I go up in utilization, we then need to go slightly down in length. There we go. And that got us 2 more delta V. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-freaking-doo. 2 more delta V, huh? I'm just trying to see if there's any other, like, upgrades that I missed or something. Battery 2. I don't think so. I could have less power in that, but that's, I mean, we're talking like only a couple delta V difference. On these. I don't think there's anything else I want to change about this. If I take more delta V out of this, I'm starting to get to the point where I don't have enough for a safe landing. But if I add more, it actually subtracts delta V from our, look, 14,867, 14,777, right? Like, we lost 90 delta V by adding more landing monopropellant, because it's just such a bad ISP, right? It's only 128. And yes, it's nice that it's a dense fuel, so it's not a huge tank, but it still is only, you know, 100 and what did I just say? 130 ISP. Like, it is not a good ISP. Okay, so then the final idea would be boosters. We double up the algols and we just take another 20 tons, or I do 3. Let's kind of play with this. So we've got 14,867. If we add a triple algol, that takes me to 15. That doesn't. Really? 15,016? 150 delta V from one more algol? So one algol adds about 200 delta V. 2 algols adds about 360. $15,016. Huh. Okay, so maybe triple algol is the way. Double algol, 14,867. Triple algol, 14,867. So what if I make this lower? So if I only wanted 50 more delta V, this can be 14,914. So that's about 50 more delta V for only 5 tons. And we have an even higher SLT now, which will save us a few more delta V because we're fighting less gravity losses. It does mean that I do need to simulate again, because we're gonna have the wrong, gonna have a couple things wrong, but I want to get this angle nice and symmetrical. There we go. We're gonna have the wrong tilting, whatever you call that. Booster pitch rate. Okay, now we need to name this something other than Moonlander. That was generic name. You are gonna be the Hercules, because you're carrying a lot to the moon. Hercules 1. Save that in the moon program. The Hercules lifter is designed for taking a lot. It's a little tricky because if we were to define how much weight does it take to orbit, it's kind of somewhere between 2 tons and more than 2 tons, because like this, you know, it does take this entire stage to orbit, but it also has some fuel left over to do so. So it's like more than 3 tons to LEO. Did I say LKO? I always think about low Kerbal orbit because I've spent so many 100 hours playing on Kerbal. Calling it Earth just feels weird. Low Earth orbit. It's about 3 tons, but more than that, because again, we have leftover fuel in the RD-119. So it could probably take more than 3 tons to low Earth orbit if we were figuring out the maximum amount of weight it could take where this stage fully burns out to get to orbit. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and put the text on. Okay, and we're back. There's our Hercules, also known as the Hercules. And let us just simulate to get the booster pitch rate correct, because it's possible the booster pitch rate now is not going to work out with the RD-107 stage to work perfectly. I'm just going to guess we need to raise this a little higher. Let's go to 1.05. And let's just try that and see what we get. And my avionics needs to be a little bit heavier. Okay. Warp a little bit here. Let's hope these all pop off without doing any damage. Whoa! That was crazy. It could be risky. I don't know about that. Yeah, this is what I was worried about. We're going way too much up now. So thing number 1 is we'll make these a little bigger. Thing number 2 is to fix the avionics, which now needs to handle 116 tons. Which is up here. 116, configure. 116, 4,000 kilojoules. Apply. Okay. And then we can save that in the Moon program. And then simulate. So let's try a pitch rate that's a little higher. And maybe, actually, let's change the start. Well, it gets to 50 meters a second pretty quick, but let's change that to 40 and 1.2, or maybe 1.15. The problem is it reaches its QA limit, Q alpha limit so fast. Raise the Q alpha limit slightly. That can help. We shall see how this goes. Because I think the Q alpha limit, and this is again, like, I could be wrong about this, but from what I've read, I think what that's doing is it's basically saying how far can you push against the airstream, essentially. At a certain point, it's going to stop trying to push against the airstream, and it's just going to chill until it drops back down below a certain static pressure, or dynamic pressure, whatever it's called. And then it'll start trying to change the attitude again. So, at least I think that's my understanding of kind of how it works. I don't like that it's like touching against that. It doesn't actually separate cleanly. But yeah, you can see our our trajectory is just so much more vertical. So our angle of attack is pretty big here. And that really screws up this stage. Trying to think of what we can change. I mean, I can just try pitching over faster. I can keep increasing that until it works. But I feel like that's gonna lead to more inefficient launches. Because we're just angling too far too fast and we're increasing our drag to like large amounts. But let's just try 3.5 and see what happens. Maybe it'll work, who knows? Let's see what happens here. Oh, I also realize now what I did. The major change that I made, I didn't even realize I changed this until just now. I mean, I know I did, but like, I didn't realize what the effect it would have, is I shortened this tank. So this thing burns less for a shorter time now, which means the RDO-107 is kicking in sooner in terms of numbers of seconds. The delta V overall is greater, but the actual time we take for this RD-87 stage is less. Or LR-87. I always get the numbers. Or the letters. Numbers, letters, words, they're all hard. They're all difficult. Oh my gosh. Okay, so then this guy... Okay. Those are scary, but they have yet to deal damage, so I think they're okay. Okay, we're a little closer to actually a 0 degree. I mean, we're at, what, 5 degree angle of attack now? Which is still too much? No, it can handle it. Just barely. Okay. Great. Sweet. All right, well, I'm gonna simulate the rest of this getting into orbit so I can see how much delta V I have left to play with, and I'll come back when that's done. Okay, so here we are in orbit, and you can see our total is 5,600, 5820 delta V, which is a bit more of a margin than what we had before. Still not a huge margin, but I think it's enough. I think it's enough that I feel comfy with it. So now we shall revert to VAB, and this is it. This is the lunar lander. This is the big cheese. The pizza sauce. The big pizza. I'm just saying words. All right, so this is good to go. Save you in the moon program. It needs 1962 orbital rocketry. It needs unlock and tooling costs. So we're not going to be doing this like tomorrow, but it's designed. And the landing pad, the launch complex is not right. So launch complex wise, the Locust series is at the mid satellites. So that actually is good because that means we can modify the heavy satellites to accommodate this bad boy. And we're gonna go maximum tonnage 120. All the other limits are fine. This cost me only 3,700. The big cost is the commonality hit, so the efficiency goes down. Which is unfortunate. But I think this is still a better idea than making a new one. If I made a new one, it cost me 45 grand, and it takes 174 days. And then I have to upkeep another pad, which is pretty similar to the one I already have. So that just doesn't feel like what we want. So yeah, I think we just want to modify this thing. Modify for 120. Modify. Okay, so that's plugged in for the Hercules. Whew, we are making some progress. Sweet. So then, grand plan wise, where are we at? So these little tildes means that we've done it. So we launched the Locust 1, and we started integrating the Earth Space High Perturbation Science, which is the Locust 2. So we finished our September goals. In October, I wanted to upgrade the astronaut complex because we're going to soon think about putting Kerbals into space. And then we want to launch the Locust 2, just because that'll finish in October 25th. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and warp a little bit. We'll warp a bit more. Uh-oh. Somebody retiring? I think so. No? Why did it... I don't actually know... Ah, is it all these contracts? Maybe because I finished the program? So now we have early commercial applications finished. Okay, now here's what I don't know. I'm gonna save it and we're gonna test this real quick. So if I save game... Because right now we should have these maintenance. Do those go away if I finish this program? It looks like no. Yeah. Okay, that looks like that all worked. So now in October, we want to upgrade the astronaut complex. And we shall launch the Locust 2. So that's done. Roll that out. Warp to complete. The Locust 2 can be launched at any time of day, so that is unimportant. And we have designed our lunar lander, so we can cross that out. And orbital rocketry finishes here in December, and that's when we can start integrating our lunar lander, the Hercules. It has a name now. Hercules 1. I already named it. Finish commercial program. I already did that. I'm guessing the lunar lander will be done in March. Hercules 1. And then next year in September... Why do I have September? Because we need interplanetary era science, that's why. And we want to do the lunar science orbiter, or whatever it's called, the mapper, you know, whatever that name is. This one. And that needs video imaging too. So... I'll go ahead and take both of those for now so I don't forget. And yeah, it's time to launch the Locust 2. Sweet. And then once we've got a successful Locust 2 orbit, I think we will go to... Or that will be the end of the episode. Now, did I happen to make a note... couple things I want to do here. Locust LV. Thank you. I'm glad I made that note. Hercules LV. Hot staging 2.2, solids lead 0.02. Is that what I have? Oh no, they all changed on me. It's like it remembers certain things, but not other things. Ah, interesting. The booster I think was 41.1 or something. Q trigger was like 13, QA was 3600. Like that thing was aggressive. I don't remember if that was all right. But it seems like it remembered the settings on this. I don't fully understand which settings it remembers and which ones it doesn't. Especially because you're mixing simulations into the mix, and so it's like sometimes you're simulating, sometimes you're launching. So I'm just gonna assume these settings are all correct. And we're gonna go last stage 1, early shutoff 1. And this is supposed to be an Earth space high, right? So we need like 45? I think so. I don't know, I'm just gonna quick save it, and if it's wrong, it's wrong. We'll redo it. And this one's not even for a, this one's not for a contract. This is just for me. So. All right, let's launch. Hey, we have explosive separation. What just happened? The heck was that? I have no idea. Let's try again. Is it a launch thing? Something is going on here. Collided into structure procedural. Collided into launch rail. Yeah, it's the launch rail. Surely this can work properly. If we just keep trying. Because I know I simulated this. There we go. Wow, that was really tight margins, I guess. Alright, Locust 2 is away. This time without as much explosions. Drop the boosters. And it's just a nice and simple launch. Nothing fancy going on. Oop, that scared me. Stage. What even is the second stage? Ah, RD-119, my beloved. Oh, I need RCS turned on, as usual. Lower that thrust limiter on the RCS to even lower than before. And we got 200 seconds left to orbit. Well, before the end of this stage, I should say. And then even more time after that of the Aegina to finish our elliptical orbit. And then we will need to circularize at the top, which hopefully 1500 is enough for that. I really don't remember any of the details of this mission. And we are at the end. Here comes Aegina. The last 30 seconds of burn. Alright, you can forget the RCS. Now, do we have the proper amount of delta V? So add maneuver, snap to apoapsis. By the way, this is the precise maneuver mod. Highly recommend it. It's great. Circularize with 1464. Perfect. We do have enough delta V. Only by a little bit though. And then as far as science experiments, orbital perturbation requires... Ah, frick. It needs an inclination. And what's the Earth space high limit? Let me look it up real quick. I think it's around the geostationary line, which is like 38 million. Earth space high is 35.8 million meters, which I think is the geostationary line. Okay, hold on. So we have to launch differently. We need to launch into a 51-degree inclination. And this can be much smaller, like 32 million. And that'll leave, because it's going to cost us some delta V, probably 100 or 200 delta V to be in a 51-degree inclination. Maybe just like 100, I'd guess. All right, I'm going to pause the recording. I'll be back. Okay, so here we are again, this time with a 32 million meter apo, and we are at our 51-degree inclination. 51.000, might I say. Nice job, MechJeb. Really hit the nail on the head there. Apoapsis, circularize, 1486, delta V. There we go. We got plenty of extra. And now I think... Is this a near-Earth avionics? Because the node's not for 4 hours. So if it is near-Earth... I don't know why I'm struggling to see if it's a near-Earth avionics. Am I blind? I think it's near Earth because it doesn't have the other button here. I think a deep space one, like the hibernate one, would have the hibernate button. So I think it is just near Earth. Anyway, the point that makes me say is that we need to go advanced, sun, down, execute. And that way we actually are receiving solar power on our journey to the maneuver node. Okay, so then now we should be able to quick save just in case, and then I'll man plan, execute next node. And it should stop 10 minutes before to get into the correct orientation, and then it will hopefully do everything for us. And then we'll have our space high orbital perturbation data, which is 220. Guys, am I dumb? Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I thought 32 was big enough. What am I doing? 32 million's not big enough. We just said it was 35.8 was the limit. So I need like 37 to be safe for Earth space high circular orbit. Oh my gosh. Okay. I will pause the recording again, and I'll be back when I've caught up to where I was before. Oh, man. Okay, we are back. It took me 5 tries. 2 or 3 of them exploded on the launch pad again. One of them had an engine failure, that I had to reload. So finally we're here. with the correct apoapsis of basically 3.7 million, which is Earth space high. And we have enough delta V, so everything should be good to go here. We should double check. Yes, we are in Earth space high. Okay, wonderful. So now this will grant me, what is that, about 10 science per year? I guess that's not as much as it feels like. No, sorry, more than that. 10 years, about 27 science a year. Okay. And you gotta get ullage here. Come on, there we go. Ta-da! As long as we don't have an engine failure right now. Please, please mama, no spaghetti. All right, perfect. The whole orbit is Earth space high. Feels great. Sun, down, execute. Should be the final maneuver we ever need to make. Now, the other thing I'm curious about, let me know in the comments if you know the answer to this, is do the solar panels... do the solar panels, because I know that they wear out over time, and the question is, if you have an unloaded vessel, do the solar panels, does Kerbalism simulate the wearing out of panels over time? I know that it doesn't simulate the location of the sun and the facing of the craft and all that. Like, it just takes, you know, we've talked about this before in previous episodes, but basically it will take, like, if I were to select this vessel, somewhere we can see the actual number. Uh-oh. Did I screw up the antenna on this? Oh no. This has been a cluster. No. 18 dBm. 38 million meters. I mean, what about 43 million meters? That should still work too. What about 50 million meters? That still seems to be working fine. Are we just like in a really unlucky spot at this exact moment that there's nowhere to connect to? Yeah, okay. Thank goodness. That was freaking me out. I was like, did we really screw that up that big? Okay, so anyway. Now this should load up. Oh, I have the wrong thing selected. What is this called? Oh, Locust 2 is at the top. I was looking for it at the bottom. Here we go. So this is what I was trying to show you a second ago. So basically, it won't change on unloaded vessels. But the question is, will it change the actual amount of power we get from that 100% exposure? Because it'll stay at 100% exposure forever. But I don't know if it'll stay at 100% wear or 0% wear forever. So if you know the answer to that, let me know. Like, does it, you know, basically if you were to if you were to not load the vessel again for 10 years, would you be able to ignore solar panel wearing out as well? That does feel a bit cheesy, but at the same time, I'm still curious what the actual answer is. All right, so this bad boy is now in space high, nonetheless. Let's get a good screenshot. Where's the Earth? It must be in the dark. No, it should be over to the left of the sun. There it is. There she blows. Perfect. All right. Well, I think we'll call it an episode there. We've got some more science flowing in now, which feels good. Some more data units for our RD-119 and other engines. And at this point, we are well on our way to landing on the moon. Just need about, what is that, 30 days? And another month, we'll be integrating the vessel that will go land on the moon. Nice. Sweet. Okay, well, we'll call that an episode. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one.